Rintaro is a scary-looking mofo who everyone avoids because of his looks. However, his whole life changes when he meets Kaoruko, a cute, sweet-loving girl, who sees him for who he really is, a kind-hearted man, and gives him some love. On the day they met, it was just another day for the two neighboring schools, Kikayo and Chidori, who hate each other. From Chidori, Rintaro glances out the window toward the all-girls school next door, Kikayo, and he's already used to the idea that he'll never understand what goes on over there, as the Kikayo girls always avoid the Chidori boys like they're packing STDs. One morning, Rintaro's friends, Saku, Sohei, and Ayato, start arguing with two guys from another school, and while everyone wants to avoid a fight, they blame each other for causing it. Right as tensions rise, Rintaro steps in, and just one glare from him is enough to send the other group running like they're seeing P. Diddy on the loose. He gives his friends a light scolding, but Shohei flips it, saying it was Rintaro who provoked the fight, and the thugs were actually looking for him before running away. Then, they go to school, and on their way there, Rintaro remembers that one of the thugs might have seen him during an argument that broke out near his home where a girl had done the Will Smith to her boyfriend in the street. And when Rintaro approached to check on the guy, the poor dude got spooked. His friends listen and are unimpressed, knowing that while Rintaro may mean well, with his intimidating face, most people assume he's there to sell them fentanyl. Just then, they walk past two Kikayo girls, and one girl drops her handkerchief. Sohei picks it up and tries to return it, but the girl glares at him like he's a creep and tells him to throw it away. However, despite the brutal rejection, Sohei convinces himself that she was just too shy to talk to someone as Sigma as him. They head into their plain public school building, which sits in sharp contrast to Kikayo's fancy architecture. Rintaro reflects on how different their schools are, and how the Kikayo girls absolutely hate the Chidori boys, as Chidori is infamous for being full of delinquents and idiotic morons and ranked near the bottom in academics and reputation. They hate the boys so much that the Kikayo girls even keep their curtains shut to avoid seeing the Chidori building. Just then, while scrolling on his phone, Rintaro sees a work notification. He turns down his friend's invitation to a gooning session together and heads to the cafe where he works as a Nepo baby. The rain pours as he runs to get there, and when he arrives, he asks his manager, who is also his mom, Kyoko, if it's really okay for him to deal with customers, as he's worried that his terrifying looks might scare them. Kyoko reassures him that it's fine, as there's only one customer today anyway. While everyone else is busy preparing pastries for an event, Rintaro sets up the counter and spots a wet umbrella near the entrance. He looks up and sees a cute, fun-sized girl sitting at a table, surrounded by empty dessert plates. She notices him staring and flushes with embarrassment, then starts choking hard like your mom last night. Rintaro rushes over with water, and she gulps it down and, while still flustered, thanks him for the food before running out of the cafe. That evening, while closing shop, Kyoko casually mentions that the choking girl, Kaoruko, is actually a regular. Rintaro feels guilty, afraid he scared her off, but Kyoko brushes off his concern. She insists that Kaoruko isn't the type to get scared easily and jokes that her delicious, creamy cakes can always win anyone over. The next day, Rintaro is still bothered by what happened. During lunch, he zones out, thinking about how to apologize or see her again. But when his friends ask what's wrong, he brushes them off, simply saying that he gooned too hard. After school, Kyoko bursts into his room, telling him that Kaoruko is back at the cafe and wants to see him. Still in casual clothes, he hurries downstairs, and she surprises him by offering to treat him. Then, he ends up sitting with a cake and a drink in front of him, and Kaoruko apologizes for leaving so suddenly. He tries to refuse the treat and notices her already eyeing the dessert. Silently, he slides it over to her, and she initially hesitates, but eventually gives in and eats it joyfully. Then, she explains that the day before, she hadn't planned to eat that much, as she thought she was alone and safe to indulge. But when he saw her, she got embarrassed, as she had seen him working before and had been curious about him. Right then, Rintaro realizes she hadn't run because she was scared, but she was just nervous, and she shyly admits that his presence makes her heart race. Rintaro wonders why, unlike most girls who flinch when they see Kaoruko is different. Her honesty hits him hard, and he can feel himself getting warm on the inside. Feeling nervous, he offers to walk her to the station, but she buys another cake and decides to walk on her own. Then, as she leaves, she turns and says she never thought he was scary, not even once, and her words leave Rintaro stunned, but from afar, the two thugs are watching them. Later that night, Rintaro hides in his room, reflecting on how everyone only said bad things about him. But with Kaoruko entering his life, he doesn't know how to feel. Suddenly, Kyoko barges in with the cake box Kaoruko bought that Kyoko found on the street, and Rintaro rushes out to find her, worried for her safety. He hears voices in an alley and discovers the two thugs cornering Kaoruko, wanting to do the Eiffel Tower. They talk about Rintaro and start spreading rumors about him, calling him a delinquent and saying Chidori is full of troublemakers. Rintaro listens to their words in pain, but Kaoruko pushes back. She admits that the rumors sound bad but challenges them, saying that if they spoke to Rintaro, they would see the truth of how wonderful he is. The thugs get tired of her glazing, and one grabs her, ready to do the ditty. But when he raises his fist, Rintaro jumps in, blocks the attack, and scares them off with his godly aura. Kaoruko quickly checks his bleeding head while panicking, but he reassures her it's from hitting the wall, not the guy's weak punch. Then he bows deeply, apologizing for dragging her into trouble. But Kaoruko wipes the blood from his forehead and says something he's never heard before, that she doesn't understand why people are scared of someone with such a kind soul. She rejects his apology and simply thanks him, and for the first time, something inside him wakes up, and he sees a world he has never seen before, one where he's not judged by his looks. He walks her to the station, and as they part ways, she invites him to hang out and eat cake sometime, which he agrees to. The next morning, Rintaro arrives at school early, still thinking about Kaoruko. When he looks out the window, he sees Kaoruko peeking through the Kikayo curtains, and their eyes lock before he quickly shuts the curtain in surprise, realizing that she's not just a random girl, but a Kikayo student, the arch nemesis of his school, the Juliet to his Romeo. Rintaro zones out, thinking about how the anime gods hate him for sending such a goddess into his life, only to make his life worse by making Kaoruko a student from Kikayo. While he's in the middle of his romance crisis, Shohei shows up and starts his day by complaining about how harshly the Kikayo girls have been glaring at him all morning, which tempts him into going full Jeffrey Dahmer. He expresses how he didn't have an option but to join Chidori, but Saku and Ayato show up and remind him that he's here because of his smoother-than-butter brain. They join in trash talking the hoes who go to Kikayo, and Saku strongly expresses how much he hates Kikayo after the way the girls treated them like trash, just because they lack the brain cells to answer 1+1, and how the two neighboring schools will never get along. Suddenly, Rintaro starts zoning out again, and his friends notice and ask about his forehead injury, but he's too deep in thought to answer. Just then, Ayato asks about the closed curtain, saying how rare it is for it to be closed. Shohei blurts out that Rintaro probably hates the girls so much that he refuses to see them. But Rintaro snaps, denying their claims quickly, which makes things awkward. His friends get confused by his behavior, and Rintaro brushes past their worries, saying that he hates the sun in his face. Still, Saku finds the whole thing strange. Later, during class, Rintaro struggles to focus, as he keeps replaying Kaoruko's face when she saw him in the classroom over and over, worrying that he embarrassed her. However, he believes that she will now stop coming to the cafe, and it's for the better that way, as Chidori and Kikayo can never get together. After school is over, Shohei invites him out. Rintaro checks his phone, and when he sees that his mom didn't ask for his help, he agrees to go with them to karaoke. They excitedly walk out of the school, ready to sing some of Baby Shark's best hits. But on their way out, they notice a crowd near the gate, looking towards someone. Out of curiosity, they go over to see the commotion and see Kaoruko standing alone outside of Chidori, clearly waiting for someone from Chidori. Rintaro turns away in shock, not knowing what to do. Suddenly, out of his pure hatred, Shohei marches up to her and intimidates her, demanding to know why a Kikayo hoe like her is there. While nervous, Kaoruko tells him that she's waiting for someone, and Shohei gets aggressive again. But before things escalate, Rintaro quickly steps in and pulls Shohei back like a mother cat carrying her kitten, scolding Shohei for scaring her and apologizing to Kaoruko. Shohei suddenly realizes that Kaoruko is waiting for someone in Chidori, which means someone in Chidori is friends with a Kikayo girl. But instead of lashing out, he tears up, saying that he's just extremely jealous that someone from Chidori actually has a girlfriend. Then, Kaoruko's friends rush over to Kaoruko, bump the boys away, and try to drag her away. The scene draws more attention towards them, and more Kikayo girls gather and whisper, saying how Kaoruko will lose brain cells being near the Chidori boys. Shohei, feeling disrespected, asks for an apology after being shoved, but one girl coldly slaps his hand away while looking at him with disgust and storms off with Kaoruko. But as she's getting pulled away, she looks back at Rintaro, feeling worried. On their way to the karaoke, while the guys are murmuring about the Kikayo girls, Rintaro is walking behind them, trying to calm himself down after what just happened. He suddenly suspects that Kaoruko was waiting for him, and while he tries to reject that idea, he can't help but realize that Kaoruko wanted to meet him. Just then, the friends turn around, and when they see Rintaro's face, they are in shock, saying how they have never seen him make that face before. But Rintaro knows the truth that what he's feeling is happiness. Still, he convinces himself that they should stop meeting. Later, the guys jam into songs, and Shohei sings out loud the Baby Shark song. Meanwhile, Rintaro is in the middle of picking a Jake Paul song when Saku suddenly calls him out for acting differently lately. He asks him if something happened to him, and points out the nasty scar on his head. He and the others ask Rintaro to talk to them if anything is troubling him, and deep down, Rintaro wants to tell them about how he met an angel in the form of Kaoruko. But when he imagines how the guys hate Kikayo girls, he pulls back and assures them that he's okay. The others believe in what he says, and Rintaro apologizes to Saku for worrying him, but Saku is still not convinced. Afterward, walking home, Rintaro sees the cafe lights still on after closing hours. He tries warning his mom about the door not being locked, but inside, he sees Kaoruko there, smiling at his arrival. She quickly apologizes for creating a scene at the school gate, saying that she doesn't truly realize the bad blood between the two schools, but Rintaro assures her that he didn't mind it and begs her to raise her head. Just then, Kyoko pops up with some leftover cakes and helps out his son, securing his future baby mama by asking Kaoruko to eat some. She tries rejecting, but her stomach betrays her by making a noise, which gets Rintaro and his mother laughing. Rintaro then asks Kaoruko to eat the cakes with him, and they sit down to do it. While Kaoruko joyfully eats the cakes, Rintaro notices just how sweet she looks while at it. She then apologizes to Shohei for getting shoved, but Rintaro assures her that he's okay. Rintaro then asks what she was doing at the school gates, and when Kaoruko tells him that she wanted to see him, Rintaro gets flustered, realizing she wanted to meet him again. She apologizes once more for creating a scene, but Rintaro, in panic, assures her it's okay, and that he was very happy when he saw her. He quickly blushes at what he said, and tries to retract his statement, but Kaoruko pleads with him not to, now knowing he was happy to see her. It causes them both to fold like a chair, and Rintaro diffuses the situation by reminding her to eat. Then, he expresses how he didn't expect her to come back to the cafe, and when she asks why, he tells her that it's because they're from two different schools that practically hate each other's guts, and that it's not good for a Kikayo girl like her to associate herself with a Chidori scum like him. However, to his surprise, Kaoruko reveals that she was actually happy when she found out that Rintaro is from Chidori. She abruptly excuses herself to leave after what she said, and before leaving, she promises that she is telling the truth, as it made her very happy to learn that they are literally next door to each other. In that moment, as Kaoruko is leaving, Rintaro sees her facial reaction, and he realizes that he just hurt her for not sharing the same happiness that they get to be neighbors. Just then, Kyoko pops up to check on them and sees that Kaoruko is already gone. But when she looks at her own son, she sees him in pain and panics. Afterward, Rintaro tells his mother what happened, and she flicks his dumb head, cursing herself for failing to teach his son basic riz. He asks her why Kaoruko would even come to see him, even though she is a Kikayo student, and his question disappoints Kyoko. She calls him out on his BS, and points out how the way he is treating Kaoruko just because she's from Kikayo is the same way people treated him horribly just because of his scary look, which hurts Rintaro a lot. She then asks him whether Kaoruko ever treated him differently when she found out he's a chopped-looking dude who goes to Chidori, and Rintaro realizes just how horrible he has been. Suddenly, he punches himself, causing himself to bleed and for Kyoko to get worried, but Rintaro looks to his mother and thanks her for the talk. Early into the next morning, Kaoruko walks to school when, to her surprise, she meets Rintaro waiting for her in front of her school gates. She asks him why he's there, and he tells her that he came early just to meet her. He then apologizes for hurting her, and Kaoruko gets flustered, realizing that she made a sad face that Rintaro saw. She then admits that while she was hurt, it was also her own selfish feelings, and she adds how kind Rintaro really is for him to look for her. Remembering how Kaoruko always had been honest with him, Rintaro wants to do the same for her. He fully admits that whenever guys from Chidori talk trash about her, he hates it, and is scared that being with him might get her in danger. However, he now wants to take back those feelings and apologizes to Kaoruko for only seeing her as a Kikayo student, and not for who she really is. He expresses how happy he is that she wants to meet him, and in that moment, Kaoruko's frown turns into a smile. She quickly stands up in high spirits and expresses how, despite their opposing backgrounds, she wants to get to know him for who he truly is. Her words leave Rintaro in awe, and it ends with him getting her number.
Finally!
Because his classroom is still empty, Kaoruko asks him beforehand to do something, and when he gets to the classroom, he follows what she asked, which is to look at her from the window across, and she jumps in joy, knowing that he's right there watching her. Some days later, Rintaro and Shohei are stuck in class, agonizing over how hot the temperature is, and are wishing that they could go to a hotel, blast the air conditioner, and goon themselves to sleep. Shohei expresses how he wants to die out of boredom, but suddenly remembers that they have sports day coming, and tells Rintaro how much he wants to win it. However, to their shock, they find out from their teacher that they are not allowed to compete in the sports festival. When they ask him why, the teacher sternly tells them that whoever failed their midterm exams has to take makeup exams. Shohei begs the teacher to cut them some slack, and he agrees to buy them ice cream if they manage to get good grades and win during the sports festival. Back in class, Shohei starts tweaking, realizing that his dumb brain truly can't hack it. He desperately begs Saku to teach them, as he's the smartest of the bunch, but he refuses to do so after they all failed the year before, even with his tutoring. Ayato checks in on Rintaro's condition, and just like Shohei, he feels that he has already lost. He asks Ayato to help him out, but Ayato also tells Rintaro that he's as dumb as he is. Suddenly, Shohei declares that they don't need Saku's help and will study by themselves, and Saku challenges them to actually succeed without them. Just then, Rintaro gets a text message from his mother, Kyoko, who informs him that their store will be having a sale and that he should invite Kaoruko to come visit. There, Rintaro realizes that Kaoruko hasn't been coming to the store lately, but suspects that maybe she ran out of money. Then, in the middle of class, he anxiously writes an invitation to Kaoruko, and after thinking hard about it, he manages to send her the text message. He then waits for her to respond, but after hours, and after school ended, she still doesn't respond. Suddenly, she texts him back, saying that she can't come to the shop because she is busy, and he suddenly wonders why that makes him feel disappointed. Just then, Shohei pops up and invites him to the public library to study for the midterms. They waste no time hitting the books, studying to get better grades, but after studying for 10 minutes, Shohei's brain is cooked. As their only hope, Rintaro suggests to Shohei that he should apologize to Saku, who helped them study the year before. Shohei tells Rintaro that he actually feels awful for failing the test and wasting Saku's time the year before. Rintaro encourages Shohei to believe that Saku does care about them and that he wants them to experience sports day together. And after hearing something so kind from his mouth, Shohei wonders what happened to Rintaro. Shohei quickly stands up and tells Rintaro that he's going back to school to apologize to Saku and bring him back to the library, promising that they will all be there for the sports day. After Shohei leaves, Rintaro continues studying when two girls walk past, looking for an empty seat. Seeing this, Rintaro simply stands up and walks away, leaving the seat for them, and they realize that he did it for them, but it's too late to thank him. When Rintaro is about to exit the library, he hears someone mention Kaoruko's name, and when he looks to see who it is, he finds Kaoruko in the middle of studying with her friend, and realizes that she couldn't come to the shop because she was also too busy with her midterms. He watches the two girls silently and quickly hides when he almost gets caught. He continues to watch her with her friend, and is pleased to see her speak informally, unlike when she's with him. Right then, the friend mentions how amazing it is for Kaoruko to retain her spot as the smartest student of her class, and Rintaro listens in amazement, hearing firsthand how amazing Kaoruko really is. Then, he steps out of the library and sits outside to continue his studies. He reflects on Kaoruko being a top student, and sees how far he is from her by being the top idiot at his school. He then lies down to take a quick break, and after hearing Shohei's motivation, he makes it his mission not to fail the midterms. Just then, Kaoruko pops up, shocking Rintaro, and Kaoruko tells him that she saw him leaving earlier and knew it was him. While carrying her lunch, she tells him she's getting hungry, and being a gentleman, Rintaro scoots over so she can sit down. She apologizes for not going to his store's discount day and promises to come next time after saving up from her job. It surprises Rintaro to hear that, as he always thought that Kaoruko was a rich girl, but Kaoruko informs him that she's not rich and that she got into Kikayo through a scholarship, which is why she can't let her grades slip and fall from first place. However, she vents about how she has been sleep-deprived due to studying and pulling all-nighters. But she tells Rintaro that she's willing to go through all that, as she's nothing but a regular girl who comes from a regular family and manages to join a top school like Kikayo, which is why she has to work twice as hard as everyone. He then asks why she's willing to do that, and Kaoruko tells him how she begged her dad to let her join and promised herself to never betray him. And that becomes her own pride that she's willing to always maintain. It's here that Rintaro realizes even more how unfair he has been judging Kaoruko by assuming she was rich, which was something Rintaro would hate to happen to him. With full humility, Rintaro asks Kaoruko to teach him to study, as he doesn't want to fail again and not be with his friends. He nervously asks her to consider it, and Kaoruko offers him some food and tells him that when she has free time, she will help him study. Just then, one of Kaoruko's friends, Subaru, pops up, and Rintaro is in awe of her silver hair and terrifying glare. Without skipping a beat, Subaru sees that Rintaro is from Chidori and orders him to never breathe the same air as Kaoruko ever again. Kaoruko tries to calm her down, but suddenly, things get worse when Shohei and the others pop up and rush towards him when they see that he's surrounded by Kikayo students. It quickly turns hostile, with Subaru calling the Chidori students stupid apes, which Shohei doesn't appreciate. He calls her out for it, but when he sees Kaoruko, he recognizes her and gets close. But in that moment, Rintaro pulls him back while Subaru pulls Kaoruko back. Shohei doesn't understand why he was pulled back, while Rintaro is confused why his own body moved by itself. Subaru quickly takes Kaoruko with her away, saying that the Chidori students will probably affect her with an STD. But hearing that disrespect, Saku refuses to tolerate it and starts calling her every name under the sun, insulting Subaru's entire lineage, which affects Subaru. However, Rintaro saves the girls by stopping Saku, and he lies about how he was the one who approached Kaoruko to apologize for scaring her the other day. But both Shohei and Ayato are confused, as it was Shohei who scared her. Just then, Shohei approaches the girls, and to their surprise, he sincerely apologizes to Kaoruko for scaring her before. Kaoruko shocks everyone by bowing to Shohei and apologizing for making them all uncomfortable. Subaru tries to get her to stop bowing, but Kaoruko demands that she apologize to Rintaro before they leave. However, she refuses and walks away, and Kaoruko quickly bows one more time before following her. It leaves the boys conflicted after seeing how sweet and kind a Kikayo girl can be, but they all turn their attention to Saku, who stood up for them, and he expresses how he can't stand seeing his homies getting disrespected by some silver-haired hoe. Meanwhile, Subaru is scolding Kaoruko for apologizing to the Chidori boys, saying that they are all mindless apes. But when she remembers how Rintaro protected her from Saku's roast session, she starts doubting herself. So she asks Kaoruko what Rintaro is like during their small conversation. And when Kaoruko tells her that Rintaro was really kind, Subaru doubts his man-hating beliefs even more. Later, back home, Rintaro is forcing himself to study, even though his brain can't take it. Just then, Kaoruko calls him, and when he answers, he realizes how he's using his high-pitched voice to answer her. They both apologize for what happened in the library and promise that their friends are actually really nice. Then, after Rintaro protected her, she tells him that he was very cool, and Rintaro gets flustered, as no one has ever told him that. She then talks about when they should study together, But during it, Rintaro notices how she has always been extremely formal with him. So he asks her about it, and Kaoruko simply tells him that she is nothing but a customer at his shop, which disappoints Rintaro, who thought they had already gotten closer. However, he gathers his courage, and before the call ends, he tells her that she doesn't have to be formal around him anymore. While both are nervous, Kaoruko agrees to speak to him like a friend, and they hang up the phone. In that moment, Rintaro can feel his face heating up and wonders how Kaoruko reacted to what he asked of him. While on the other side, Kaoruko is smiling ear to ear the whole time, feeling flustered after the amount of Riz Rintaro poured for her. Thank you for watching today's recap video. If you enjoy this recap, comment down below Low Budget Romeo and Juliet and hit the like button for part 4.